guys on both sides of the aisles there. It doesn't matter if we were in a Democratic senators or a Republican senators. When we started talking motorcycles, guess what happened? We were all the same. We were all the same.
Today on the podcast, we interviewed Jayson Davis, who is not only the chairman of the board for the National PowerSports Dealer Association, but he's also an owner of PowerSports of Greenville. He's worked in every position of the store. He's an incredible enthusiast. He brings a really great perspective on a lot of things. He's a great speaker, too. I've seen him speak at a couple gigs, and he is riveting, really is. He actually just came back from Washington with the fly-in, where basically people from all over our industry, dealers, vendors, manufacturers, and even enthusiasts all fly out to Washington, D.C. to talk to senators and House representatives about what is important for us and our industry and how do we keep this thing moving forward and continuing to grow. This was a great episode. Really enjoyed talking to Jayson. Jayson's always a hoot. So I hope you enjoy this episode as much as we did. Please also make sure you like and subscribe, share these episodes so we can keep doing them. If you have any suggestions on people who should be on the show, things we should talk about, or if you'd like to sponsor the podcast, please reach out to dealerlab@onex.io. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. You can't hear yourself in those headphones you've got there, so.
Breaker.
Everybody's got different gifts, right?
Who gave you that gift? Because you should have returned it.
Your mom.
Oh, man, that was good. That was good.
Yeah.
Man, okay, Jay, we are so excited to have you on here. Every conversation we ever have is so much fun. So this is going to be a very good, entertaining podcast.
Let's hope so. That's all we can do.
I just want to start. You probably have the best background I think I've ever seen in a podcast. Where is this beautiful space that you're in right now?
This is part of my man cave. We're in the Harley section right now because that's where the extension cord reaches for my 1980s aircraft controller headset that we need to make this podcast work. So yeah,
this is part of the showroom, or this is outside of the showroom. What is this?
This is at my home in my man cave.
It's home.
The Wi-Fi password. Well, the Wi-Fi label is Fortress of Solitude. So this is where we go to celebrate and cry alternately.
And this is the Harley-Davidson wing of your own man cave. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yeah.
Oh man,
that's it.
I gotta get into your side of the business. That sounds even better.
It's amazing how you can repurpose different dealership displays. So
yeah, that's all. Yeah, actually,
that's what our entire office.
This entire office is like Royal Enfield displays and old Triumph displays and all marketing material.
You know what I'm talking about. Let's see, what else can we do here? We got Yamahas and Kawasaki's and stuff. So
it's beautiful. Nice
Thanks.
setup. What a nice setup. So okay, you're coming from Greenville, is that right?
Greenville, South Carolina. Beautiful,
Nice,
crime-free
nice.
Greenville, South Carolina.
Have you been out there forever? Is that where you're born and raised? Where's home?
Home is Mississippi, Western Tennessee, Northern Mississippi.
Where
Arkansas.
in North Mississippi?
Families from a little town called Maben, which is about 20 minutes outside of Starkville, and packed up and moved to Memphis, and now they're in South Haven, and they're everywhere.
All right, South Haven.
Spreading out the Davises. They're getting everywhere now.
They are. I have 100. I literally have 100 cousins.
Whoa! So you came from a big family.
Well, they let some of us breed, not all of us. So I'm small family, but the others were chosen.
Okay, good. Do you have a bunch of siblings, or that was not your side of the family?
That was not my side of the family. Everybody knew who I was. I didn't know who anybody was. So you can imagine how that worked out.
Great.
There's the city kid. Look at that guy.
Yeah, that's great.
All he wants to do is ride dirt bikes. You know.
Yeah, you come out from the city, you're like, this is awesome, and then you get stuck being the motorcycle guy.
I wish I could get stuck like that more.
Yeah. Okay, so I mean, I guess this transitions right into how did you get into this whole thing? How'd you get into motorcycling and being a dealer, principal, all that? Start us at the beginning.
9 years old, I believe I got a piano, and I guess my father really wanted to piss my mom off, so he got me a dirt bike and a little XR80, and it was real clear. It was real clear which one I wanted to do.
Okay.
So yeah, I remember I would get turned loose for 2 weeks at a time, on my little XR80, and I can tell you without any doubt, a 1980 XR80 will go 55 miles an hour, top speed, fifth gear pinned on the Natchez Trace for about 4 hours before it runs out of gas. Yeah. So nothing like being stuck, 100 miles from home or where home is that week. And
this is
good news.
It
takes about 10 cents to put enough gas in it to get to the next gas station. But back then, that was life to me. That was living, and I never forgot that. And I really owe the industry for how much happiness that brought me, and that really, really, really that sparked an interest. And everybody's everybody's equal on the motorcycle, right? Actually, you're not. You're actually really cooler. But it's doesn't matter if you're 9 or 90. If you can get on one, it's a great feeling.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's a common language too.
Yeah.
Right.
9-year-old can talk to a 9-year-old about riding motorcycles and have the same feeling.
Just had that same experience on Capitol Hill, of all places, in the hallways on Capitol Hill.
Oh, really?
Yes. Okay, I'm going to get to that. I want to get to the Capitol Hill conversation because that is an incredible thing you guys did. I want to know all about it. I want to get to, just before we get there, let's talk a little bit about your mom gives you a piano, your dad gives you a dirt bike. Obviously, you're not very good at piano now. But that then turns into running a store, operating a store. Like, what was the transition from being 9 to now where you're at?
Well, it's a varied road. But my dad passed away when I was in my 20s. Started running his business. Got an offer for somebody to buy it out and take over, and took that and rode motorcycles nonstop 7 days a week for about 3 years. Visited, 4 or 5 dealerships every day at least. I was the ultimate pain in the ass customer. But
you're the drink the coffee, sit at the counter guy.
Yeah, eating hot dogs, kicking tires.
Yeah, and waste the employees' time and I'm sensitive to that. Yeah, but I had a great time and brought a lot of fun. And I finally had to get a job, so I went back to the first job I knew. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I graduated pretty good in high school and college, and went back to being a grocery bagger with my super badass Harley Davidson Deuce that everybody thought was my dad's, which was hilarious. But anyway, was a bagger for a couple of years while I waited for my local PowerSports Harley Davidson dealership to hire me, and begged them for 2 years straight because I was like, well, what do you want to do? I was like, well, I want to be around motorcycles. That's if I could do anything I want to do, I just want to be around motorcycles. And I begged for 2 years to get hired on there, and finally was able to buy enough Michelob Lights to bribe my way into being the shipping and receiving clerk. And I did that for
what year was that?
Late 90s.
Okay.
Before somewhere around 98. And
so the big boom of Harley stores too. I mean, it's selling like crazy. Wait lists for bikes. That's the time.
Yeah, those were different times. But yeah, did that for 6 weeks, and they moved me to parts to service liaison, and I was Chrome boy because that's all I did. That's all I knew. That's all I knew is let's make it pretty and make it sound good, and these guys will make it go fast. And did that for about 6 months, and well, I guess that somewhere in there they moved me to sales, and then they moved me to GM, which is a testament to how much we didn't know back then. That has anything to do with my abilities. It's just how bad. It's like how little we knew.
Needed bodies.
Needed bodies, and this guy talks good and makes them pretty and makes us a lot of money. So that was it.
Yeah. Wait, so how quickly is this transition from you literally bagging groceries to general manager is 6 months?
No, I bagged groceries for 2 years.
Okay, but
then
you
I got
went
hired.
from working in a grocery store to being the GM of a Harley store in 6 months.
As I said, that's how bad we were. That's how bad we were.
Wow, that's also how good you are.
The main thing here is that nobody has ever correlated grocery bagging to running a dealership, and there might be something there.
Yeah, that's where we got to find our next operators.
I'm going to tell you something. There are some hidden dangers to bagging groceries for people, especially little old sweet ladies. They
oh yeah.
I promise you, they take it out on those perceived young baggers. I promise you. I feel
Really?
for you guys. Yeah. Keep your aprons loose is all I can tell you. Keep your aprons loose.
I like how you say, I feel for you guys, because you know that a huge portion of our listener base is grocery store baggers.
I
Same
feel it.
aspirations as little Jay Davis.
I feel it's an underappreciated art form, and
Is it kind of like service advising? You're gonna get yelled at. You're trying.
Service advising. You mean? Yeah. Well, no one ever felt up one of my service advisors. That's all I can say. Repeatedly,
So that's.
I don't remember the faces very well, but I remember the vehicles. Right. I don't remember the person. I remember the vehicles, and then you'd see that car, and you'd like, is this a good teeper? Or is this somebody that's gonna take advantage of me? And then they pop the trunk, and it'd be the same jack and the same blanket, the same place, and then it'd be like, oh no, or oh yeah, I can come around the side of the car. So yeah, it's.
Oh my God, I had no idea it was.
That's what I'm not here to spread that message, but I am here to raise awareness that, and it's not a one-time isolated incident, and I was not the only victim. But I'm going to tell you, yeah, there's a big difference between folding money and jingling money. That's all I can tell you. So, take care of your staff and keep the basket as a buffer zone.
May 22nd, official grocery bagger sexual harassment awareness day.
Like I said, back then it was a different time. You could do a lot of other things. You could do a lot of things. We still can do things. We just have to, get rid of our own self-imposed limits.
All right. Well, man. Okay. I'm glad I've learned so much about grocery bagging. So you become a general manager of, which store was this at the time? Which Harley store?
It was Gene Loomis Harley Davidson, which is now Harley Davidson of Asheville.
Okay, cool. Same store.
Mm-hmm.
Are you running that store? Are you associated with that store? Tell us more.
I left that store, and thought I was taking a huge step down to go learn finance at a Asheville store called MR Motorcycle. That's owned by Doug Rudd, who now coincidentally owns Harley Davidson of Asheville, and it's got a great team there, and I'm partners with him at our store down in PowerSports of Greenville. So I've been in all of them.
Yeah. I mean, Doug is an absolute legend. He has to be a great guy to learn from.
He is a badass in all aspects.
Yeah. And he's your partner in Greenville. Is that correct?
That is true.
Very cool. So how did that happen? How did this transition take place? You end up leaving this Harley store, you go into F&I, and you meet Doug, and then that's a pretty big step there. Was this 6 months or?
No,
did you bag his groceries or what?
No, things have tightened up there. No. I thought I was taking a big step down, but I was able to realize, and my plan was at the Harley store was our credit app or our finance process. I'm guessing now we were probably about 80% cash or more. We had like a 6-line credit app that we would fill out for the customer, and we'd fax it off. And then exactly 42 minutes later, the fax machine would ring with the approval and the printed contracts behind it, and they'd sign and go off, and that was it. I somehow got a hold of a very rudimentary market share report for our area, and I thought we were kicking butt because we sold 17 Harleys that month, and I see somebody had sold like 120 Hondas. I'm like, well, wait a minute, what's the difference? I mean, why would anyone do that, right? Why would anyone do that, XR80 or no? And I went over there and looked. And they had this thing called a finance process, and they were not kind enough to share with me, how that worked. And I was like, well, man, I've got to learn this. We might be able to sell 30 bikes instead of 17, right? This is awesome. And their finance guy left, and there was an opportunity there. I said, well, I'll go over there and learn that, for a couple of months, and then I'll come back over here, and we're gonna kick butt. And
a little mole,
well, I was just trying to make the world a better place.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot, and I looked up, and a year had gone by, and I was like, well, I can't leave now. I just figured out how to fill out the Conseco long form. Well, nothing can stop me now. Then we called in the credit applications, hit the button twice for a B. We would punch it in our phones, and I'd finally gotten that handled. So I was like, well, now I can actually learn something. I've got the, basics, and looked up, and another year had gone by, and then I think another year had gone by, and I just never quit learning. And then Doug bought Grady Miller's Honda, which is now PowerSports of Greenville. And I left Asheville and went down to Greenville and started off on the sales floor. The whole goal was to bring some of that fantastic culture Doug had built in his Asheville stores and bring it down there and kind of start over. And you can imagine how well that was received from a entry-level salesperson. But anyway, outlasted. Last man standing, right? So here's the keys. Have fun.
Yeah. So wow. So when did when did it actually, when did you become the dealer principal in that location? Was that right when he bought that? You were like signed in to be long haul? How'd it go?
No, when he bought that, I left my finance job to be a regular commission salesperson, $7.78 an hour in plus commission. Yeah.
Yeah.
So but I believed in the store. I believed in what Doug had done, in the other stores. I knew eventually we would win. I just didn't know how long. And fortunately, I didn't have 7 kids at the time. Oh. Only had 2, and one on the way. And I went down there as a salesperson and worked my way back up.
That's really cool. How long did it take before you became the dealer principal?
More than a decade.
Yeah.
More than a decade.
How long have you been DP in this location?
2005, I believe. 2005.
Wow.
Yeah.
You've been there a long time, man. That's great.
Yeah. Well, we don't usually reflect on that too much, right? We just another day, another year. Here we go. Another quarter. Look, the month turned over, hero to zero, and look at all the new programs I got to install. All right.
Of course. No, that makes sense. So, I mean, you've had an incredible ride already, and then you are a huge part of NPDA, National Powersports Dealer Association, and are now the chairman of the NPDA. Walk me through some of that. I mean, how did you get into that role? What have you been doing? And then we'll get into Washington in a little bit, which is obviously a huge part of what you do. But
it's the same story,
Yeah.
Last man standing. There we go. Right? We need help. We're rocking. How about that guy? Oh yeah.
You can't possibly say that. I remember Danny and I are in the audience at AIM Expo. Was this last year? I think last year over there. And you gave such a rousing speech. I was crying in the audience listening to your speech about how we need to work together as an industry. So I don't believe it's the last man standing thing. You are the right person for the job in that seat. It is very clear. So tell me about, did you join the NPDA early on? Were you a part of its foundation? How did you end up in that position? And then we'll get to how you got to be chairman.
I joined NPDA. I think I first heard about it in a Garage Composites 20 Club. Mm-hmm. And it was I think George Gatto was the one that was telling us about it. Yeah. And Gatto Cycle and Three Rivers Harley. And I was like, wow, that sounds great. It's, working in the industry. It's a volunteer thing, but man, I just keep reflecting. I think how much fun I had on that XR80 on the Natchez Trace and those Mississippi red gravel roads. And dude, anything we can bring that feeling, I think that's going to heal. That's going to heal a lot of issues we have.
Yeah.
Just across the spectrum. So anything I can do to give back and make our industry better. Also, pretty heavily invested in the future with my own kids, and nothing, I can't think of a better feeling or something better to pass down or on than just
a healthy industry, a good operating store.
Power sports adventure. I mean, I just feel like, on your composite, a lot of margin and profit covers up a lot of other sins and deficiencies. I think that much joy and outright glee just makes us and the world just a better place.
Yeah. So are your kids involved in the store as well, or are they going to be in it?
They have been. Yeah, I know when I was in the 80s, I was a kid in the 80s. My living room was full of Pac-Man and Joust and Asteroids and Space Invader and pinball games. I still wish we had that Evel Knievel pinball game. But Dad was a fireman, and he operated a vending machine route, a game route at night.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as a teenager, guess what I did?
I
totally ignored. No, I totally ignored. I walked past those things every single day, and I thought the people standing in line for hours to put a quarter in a Pac-Man machine that I had to go back like every 3 hours on a Friday to go unjam because it was so full of quarters. I couldn't hold anymore. I thought those people were complete idiots. And people were like, "Oh, when you grow up, are you going to do this? You're going to take this over?" And I'm like, "Oh, absolutely not. This is." I had a lot of disdain for it. I guess that was my form one of my forms of rebellions, right? So I think there's a little bit of that with my kids. They didn't sad for them. They didn't roll far or away from the tree but just a little of that. But no, they've come in, they've worked, they've done things. They've got their own ideas. I will say it's difficult because the dealership's in a pretty sketchy location.
Is it really?
And if I don't feel good about having them there at such a young age. And if something happened to them, that'd be the end of me. I promise. Okay. but there's more of them than there are of me. But can they come around to it? Sure. Could they do it? Yeah. Are they interested in it? Yes. It's just they have some better opportunities. They need to. I'll encourage them to explore whatever they want to do. So it's open for them if they want it.
That's great. Mm-hmm. That's really great. That's very cool. So let's get back into NPDA. So you had joined NPDA. You pretty quickly became a kind of spokesman of the association. I mean, you were like the guy to talk to very quickly. And so it's obvious that you became chairman. I don't think you had much of an option in that, it sounds like, right? I mean, you're the guy.
Well, I mean, I think I talk faster and before I think a lot of times and move fast. So yeah, it's a lot of volunteer work and I'm happy to do it. And I feel like when you really want to do something and you're passionate about it and you believe in it, it bleeds through. So, but all those guys there, I mean, the people that are doing this, I mean, it is amazing how much time, money, effort. I can't take credit for that. That's the star of the team there. I just, I might be responsible for the greet, but they're the ones that run the rest of the process.
Yep, I believe it. So most recently was the fly out. Is that what it's called? The fly out? What do you guys call it?
Capitol Hill Fly In from the Motorcycle Industry Council. Yep, fly in.
Right. The fly
in. We were fortunate enough to be able to fly out as well. So it's,
you got to be able to do both of them, although you live there.
Important.
Yeah, I want to hear about that.
The Capitol Hill fly-in. Yeah, tell us about it. I mean, you just came back, a couple days ago, or when was this?
Yes. Yeah, I left the G8 Nashville 20 Club and went to Capitol Hill. Let me just say, if there's an event that needs to be attended and represented, it's that one. It's
really
I've been to a lot of great events. I've gotten tons of training. I've had great experiences. I've tried to hit everything I can, just, get out of the dealership any way possible. Right. But if there was one important event where you could help shape the future of this industry, that's given so much to, I'll just pick on dealers, has given so much. If you take out of this industry, that is the most fertile place to plant the seeds to give back to it for the future. I can't stress the importance of that enough. That is a first-class event run by first-class people, and it's, in my having gone, once you do it, they say you don't ever want to miss another one. And really? I can't stress the importance enough. You guys should be there.
Absolutely.
Can you walk us through? I mean, it was a couple of days. Can you walk us through what y'all did? And
I'm not an expert. I only went once. It wasn't as bad as going to the Rocky Horror Picture Show for the first time, but but let's see. We showed up. Super nice hotels, super posh hotels. Pretty good food though, and excellent beverages as well.
Nice.
Now that I've got your attention,
yes.
We had some training materials. We got lots of handouts and issues and things that the Motorcycle Industry Council, decided were relevant and what they wanted to talk about, all pertaining to our industry. And since we basically have the same best interest in hearts, whether you're a dealer or a customer or an OEM, then that's pretty easy to agree on a few solid points. I mean,
yeah. What were some of the subjects? I mean, the last time that I went to an MIC thing, PFAS was the big one. But what are some of the other things that you guys were discussing?
PFAS is still a big one. In fact, in my opinion, it's the biggest one. It was number one on our list. And if you guys remember back to 08, 09, when you couldn't have lead in kids' vehicles and stopped sales for 2.5 years. And now we got this little gap in our stair steps for PowerSports, how we have it all planned out for them. Yeah, well, that's back again. And, shout out to, Malcolm Smith for just saying, come arrest me. And I'm going to sell some PW50s to these kids, right? So, but yeah, same deal. I got to be some of the lead spokesmen on that just a little bit in some of our individual groups. Just, I've got 7 kids, and I told them flat out, there's a varying degree of intelligence and common sense. It's widespread. They're all a little genetically capped, but there's a widespread of common sense and intelligence. And in our household, we base our food selection on quantity over quality. But big bills there. But despite that, I have not once ever caught any of my kids sucking on a dirt bike fender and ingesting some of those forever chemicals. So we agree they're bad, but we also think that motorcycles aren't really edible, and those chemicals currently right now they're allegedly irreplaceable. There's no substitute for them. There's no generic version we can't put a biodegradable fender or gasket on yet. Whatever. But, it's also in their chest protectors and then in their helmets. Yeah. And the way the law was written or is written, or bill, whatever, it was, we're going to phase out those dangerous, PFAS chemical vehicles now. And in 5 to 10 years, we'll phase out the gear, which anybody that's ever had a kid and bought them anything expensive knows the first thing that kid does after you give it to them is go home and grow 3 inches. So, right. Yeah. So we got to explain that gear that's going to, phase out in 5 years, that kid's not going to be wearing anyway. Not to mention there's also expiration dates on this stuff. At some point that helmet's outlived its usefulness. Yeah. But it to me, that's the most important one. That affects the kids. That's you take that away, and you take that away. I feel like most kids, what they do, I know what mine do. They go to their room, they pull the blinds, they turn on whatever gaming system they're on. They put on their headphones, their virtual pieces, and they're living their best virtual life instead of getting out there and doing stuff.
You're right.
And
that's
just not healthy. Yeah,
I've got a 4-year-old son and a 4-year-old nephew, and about 6 months before they were born, my dad bought 2 PW50s because he was like, I don't know if they're going to be around whenever they're ready to ride. So I better start getting them now. So they're still sitting in a crate, about to be uncrated for him. But it's a major concern. He wants them to experience not only a mini bike, but a 2-stroke. Mm-hmm. Who knows how long 2-strokes are going to be around? Scary.
Well, forever if Kawasaki, keeps delaying the release of theirs, so they'll be around forever. They'll be the promise of them will be forever. But when do you want your kid to learn how to ride, or if you think they might ever be attracted to that our sport? The time to do that is you want them to learn that the tree won't jump out in front of them at 5 years old or 6 years old or 9 years old, not when they're 18.
Yeah, and, exactly. That was a big. Whenever I learned to ride, I think I was 6 on a Z50. It was a conversation with my mom and dad, and she was like, "Absolutely not. I don't want my boys riding," even though she married my dad, who owned a Honda dealership. But that's beside the point. But he brought that up, what you just said. He said, "Would you rather them learn to ride right now, and while we have protection over them, we can watch them and we can teach them, or would you rather them be 35 years old and have some money in their pocket and go jump on a Harley and ride for the first time?" He said he's got friends that did that and they got in bad accidents.
So if we take away our kids' bikes and we take away their safety gear, which we all agree is a bad idea, the even worse idea is when you're 18 and you finally have your money for your 636 or your R7 or whatever it is you're looking for, and then you're not used to putting on safety gear. You don't remember the time you fell and bumped your head. Are you going to go for the helmet, or are you going to go for the pipe?
That's right.
And then what's going to happen when you, I can't speak for everyone, but I like motorcycles because they're loud, they're fast, and pretty girls tend to look at them occasionally in my mind. What happens when you go pick up the pretty person down the street and put them on the back? And they don't know anything about safety or know if you know what you're doing or not. I've had that conversation a few times, and it's never a good result. So I would love for everyone to be skilled and get some exercise and not play in the virtual world where you just hit the button and hit restart. That's just
a new life emerges. Today's podcast is brought to you by Chester River Consulting. Now, Chester River is the direct marketing company that we used in the turnaround project and still at the dealer lab. And it is the company that goes through our DMS. It pulls all of our customer data and it communicates them with them in life cycles. So that life cycle management component where we're talking to customers in meaningful ways just at the right time that's relevant to them, that takes a lot of work if you're expecting your team to be able to do it. When Chester River contacts our customers on our behalf through messaging that we have designed along with them, they actually contact a third of my customer base every single month. I mentioned that in the podcast and kind of talk about that in more detail as we go through this. But these are the guys who actually do it. If you're interested in talking to them about how they can do it in your store, contact them at sales@fueledbycrc.com. Again, that's sales@fueledbycrc.com. And enjoy the rest of the show. So explain to me a little bit more, like you're in DC, you are the guy, are you the guy talking about this PFAS and sharing it at this point? Or how does that go? Who do you speak to?
Let me just, let's see. Well, we get on the bus, right? We meet downstairs, we get on the bus, short ride to the House of Representatives. And I guess the representatives are in one building, the senators are in the other. The MIC and Scott Schlegel and their whole legal team, they have, I think Mario and Jacob over there, they have spent months preparing a schedule to where they're giving us a block of time, 15, 20, 30 minutes, however much we can. They're giving us a block of time in each of our own representatives' offices, right? Wow. So I got to meet, I think, with the 3 representatives and 4 senators' offices in one day. Now imagine scheduling that for 100 people.
Oh my gosh, that is a huge list.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's all scheduled. So what happens when they're able to block those times out and then, I'm sorry, we don't have anybody to fill them. Meanwhile, that's bad case. Meanwhile, when you do go, right, here's a list of topics. This is literally what every legal or whatever you call it, chief of staff or whoever we're meeting with, this is literally what they did. They pull out a piece of paper, go. How can we help you? What do you need? What are you looking for?
Wow.
Right? Go. Now, we had a Senator Luttrell from Texas came in and he was very relatable to the motorcycle guys in the rooms and says, if somebody asks you what you need and they're a senator, you load them up. You don't say, no, I'm good. You know, you didn't fly here. You didn't spend your time. You didn't walk in 96-degree heat across the plaza in a coat and tie to sit down in front of my air conditioned office and say, I'm good. What do you need? You have a list. You make it short. You make it concise. You tell them how it affects you and how it benefits you or them or how it hurts and stifles you. And I want to say that the people that we talked to were very receptive, and this is a credit to them. I see they were very pleased that we didn't get in there and just go, yeah, well, this is good, this is bad. We had an agenda. It was effective. You could have read the script if you wanted to. Of course, I'm not a script guy, so I didn't do any of that. But we made the point across, and I think we had 6 major points. And I just got confirmation just a few minutes ago that 2 of the ones that we were lobbying for, actually, it appears it's been decided in the industry's favor, exactly what we asked for. And, one of those things, yeah, it's huge. Yeah. And, one of those things was putting VIN numbers on motorcycle catalytic converters. Can you imagine what a nightmare that would be and how much cost that would add to the manufacturers and how, we were able to, I think we were able to get a point. Yeah. Well, I mean, we just told them, you can do that at the factory if you want, but we just take those off and throw them away. A great example of that would be I pay somebody to haul off the scrap metal. If they were worth anything, people would be lined up for it or stealing them. But we were able to use a great example. The State Capitol Police on their FLHTPs, they're not running stock exhaust. They're running duals that sound good.
Yeah.
So I said, if your own police force, if you don't believe us, if your own State Capitol Police aren't using the stock exhaust, what good is a VIN number laying in it's going to turn into a beer can, right? So what good is that? What good is that? And then you got the tariffs on the steel and aluminum, which is already driving those prices crazy. The last thing we want to do is add another layer of complexity. We don't know what pipe's going to go. Heck, the engine motors don't match the VIN numbers.
That's right.
Right?
Exactly.
How in the world are we going to make the the catalytic converters match?
Yeah.
I get it on a big diesel. It has some platinum and plutonium and who knows what else in there. That might be worth hacksawing out, but they're teeny tiny in the middle of a motorcycle.
Yeah, it's not the same impact.
Yeah, that's tough.
So
but power sports just gets lumped in with their industries, and it's not right.
Yeah, it was an oversight, right? It makes sense if you're not in the industry, if you don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
On highway vehicles. Why would you not want it? So you point out little things like that, and that has a big sway.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. So what else? What else got approved? You had catalytic converters, VIN numbers. What was the other one?
There was some talk of changing the definition of a motorcycle, and they decided to leave that alone. Okay. So that helps. That helps some people that can ride your traditional two wheels. That's been changed. There was that we brought into attention an issue. There's this gas tax that the off-highway people have supported, the gas that we put in our off-road vehicles. And when that was originally legislated, I don't know if they guessed, I don't know what happened, but they capped it at $84 million, right? So $84 million for your off-road gas tax is going to go back to the I guess it's RTP, Recreational Trail Program, right? Okay. So off-road stuff. And what it turns out when they measured how much money they had collected in 2024, it was $281 million, right? So they capped it at 84. Yeah, that's how much the off-road people paid. So that's almost 30%.
Yeah.
And I find it interesting that the number of trails that are currently open, that are already there but are open, that the number of trails that are already open are only 25%. So to me, so we're giving 30% back every year, and I understand you got to rob Peter to pay Paul sometimes. Yeah. But to hold off 70% while only 25% of your trails are open, that year over year, that's just depleting your resources, right?
Yeah.
So
removing the cap, that $85 million cap.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to be reasonable. I was like, I get, but we're not going to get 100% probably ever. I mean, the world is a big place. There's lots of issues. I would rather us fix our trails than waste it or whatever they're going to do with it. But could we just try to get that moved to 40 or even 50%? Because the 25% of the trails that they keep open every year and clean up and do, it's not a 25% this year, a different 25% next year. It's just like water. They're just going to do the easy ones. They keep opening and clearing the same ones. Meanwhile, the other ones are getting worse and worse and worse. So, absolutely. And a point I really, really wanted to stress was that's not just power sports trails. That's your hiking trails. That's your equestrian trails. That's your dog walking trails. Mm-hmm. Power sports has become accustomed to footing the bill for those things, but we keep limiting power sports and adding layers of cost and taking away youth units and their protective gear and making it harder to manufacture and then not giving back. I mean, it's all funneling and channeling. And at some point when that revenue's not collected, guess what? Those walkers are going to be on the sidewalk. Right.
Yeah. The revenue's collected, just not going to where it probably should be to keep it going.
Right. Right. And if we can spread people out, I feel like it's a really good idea to spread people out, your hikers and walkers versus a 3,500-pound side-by-side going 80 miles an hour the opposite way.
Of course.
Horses, all those kind of things. So, I mean, it's a lot of common sense, is a lot of issues. And if we don't talk about it, who would? No, if they've got a spot for you there and a chair for you there and an opportunity for you there, and you've benefited from this industry, I feel a real sense of obligation. Absolutely. And I feel it for a lot more than just myself.
Yeah. No, we'll be there. We feel what you're saying. We're coming next year for sure.
Yeah. Well, this was the biggest year ever, so it keeps growing, which is a sign of a good event, right? It keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. If 100 people can get that message across effectively, what could 400 people do?
Yeah. That's incredible. That's really great. So actually, you know, I mentioned that AIM speech that you gave that was really about how the industry comes together. I mean, it sounds like this was a great example of that. But another really important point that I think you drove home in that speech, but also sounds like is working in this, is the two main associations of our industry really working closely together with the MIC and the NPDA. How has that been going? How's the relationship with that? I mean, it sounds like these guys, MIC knocked it out of the park. Scott's incredible. I mean, how did it all go? And where do you think it continues to go from here in that relationship with those two associations?
Well, you know, I'll give you some examples of where we were. This is candid. You know, the dealer, I heard a good one. Dealer stands for a demanding, entitled, arrogant, lazy, egocentric retailer. So I try to stay away from that and not call ourselves dealers. I try to be, we're retailers. You know, I try to drop the other part, and I had to do some math, but you know, we had a lot of people very antagonistic on many different sides that just couldn't get over some stuff that happened in 1978.
What?
Now, 1978, and man, we can hold. We're all good at holding grudges, right? Sure. But 1978, which is if you that's 48 years ago, which if you add that forward is the year 2074. And do you think anybody's going to give a crap about? Well, hopefully we don't screw this podcast up bad enough to where we've made enemies in 2074, right?
Yeah.
It's funny and it's ridiculous, but I've witnessed it in person. So where do I hope we go? I tell you what, when you sit down with someone and you talk to them like we're talking now, what I've come to see over and over and over and realize very quickly that the individual dealers, man, they're smart. They're individual people on both sides. We're smart. They're receptive. They're attentive and really want to get along. Good people, right? The best people I've met in the world are in the power sports industry, right? Say nicest people at a Honda. I'd extend that to anything that we ride. And guys on both sides of the aisles there, it doesn't matter if we were in a Democratic senators or a Republican senators. When we started talking motorcycles, guess what happened? We were all the same. We're all the same. I got a great example of that. We're dressed up and we look pretty and we're talking to, you know, we're meeting the Congress people on their level. We're coats and ties and badges, and we're having our first meeting in a hallway, which was exciting. And here comes this group of guys, and with colors and cutoff vest and motorcycle guys, right? And they're there lobbying. They're there lobbying too. And this is a point I'd like to drive home. They didn't always have appointments. They weren't always, I don't know, not everyone knew they were coming. They had some, but they didn't have all. But those guys were able to, their goal that day was to hit every congressperson's office with what they would like to try to accomplish. All of them. So where we had 100 and something meetings, they were trying to get their message out to all 435 or whatever. Right. But that's, so we're turning the hall and we just happen to be talking about the putting the VIN-number on the catalytic converter, and these guys right here, these guys right here show up, right? You see those guys? Those are easily identifiable as motorcycle people in a hallway full of suits. So they were happy to walk by, and I was able to catch their attention and say, "Hey guys, how many of you guys run stock pipes?"
Yeah.
And they looked at me and said, "What?" I said, "How many of you guys run stock pipes?" And they were like, thought maybe they thought I was trying to insult them. They're like, "What's a stock pipe?" No one would in their right mind would ever do that. Thank you so much. I just wanted to get your opinion and go on. And that was pretty impressionable to our congressional aide there. He could see that.
Nice.
Yeah. And those guys, and I'll go back and hammer another point. Those guys are the givers in our industry, right? Those are the end users, right? The particular guy next to me, he rode his road glide in. You know, they went to Washington, fought the traffic, paid the hotel room bill, just to express their point of view as an end user, someone that puts money in the power sports industry, right? What do they get out of it? They get, hopefully they get what I got out of an XR80, right? Joy, happiness, you know, way of life. They were so committed by the hundreds as givers to go there and express their points of view to their Congress people, right? Meanwhile, on the other side, we have a bunch of takers, right? We have some, we have some, 10 people that own tens of stores. We have people that own a handful of stores or one store or work in the industry and make a good living for them and their kids. We have people that have their houses on their lines, their futures on their lines, their grandkids' futures on the lines, good or bad. And you're going to tell me those guys weren't there? Who are you going to respect? Who gets the thumbs up there? Who gets the thumbs up there, right? These guys get joy out of the industry. I also get joy out of the industry. I'm also able to make a living out of this industry, and I'm hoping to provide for my kids and, probably don't have a shot at the grandkids, but I'm trying to leave them something. I'm a taker. I'm trying to give just a little back. These guys are just giver, and they're giving more.
Yeah. That's incredible. It's great that we've got that type of customer base,
Yeah. And then as soon as they saw the boots I was wearing, and they, figured out I wasn't a narc or whatever, or complete doob, complete doob asking about stock pipes and, where they are, immediately bond. Yeah. Immediately bond. Rode your Road Glide? What year is it? What color is it? What pipes did you put on it? Turns out he had Reinhardt pipes. Guess who was at the Capitol fly-in? Judd Hollifield, guy that owns Reinhardt pipes.
Cool.
Could you draw it up any better?
That's really
I don't think
cool.
so.
That's
awesome.
Now, how many of those experiences? How many experiences of those did we not have?
Yeah, we could have had. It was even more attendees there. So going back to the relationship, if we can get along like that, I think the organizations can get along like that. Where we're trying new things. We'll make mistakes. I've made several mistakes already today. Possibly not having a new enough computer to where I don't have to have headphones. But we'll make mistakes, but we'll get through it as long as we keep an open, honest, ongoing dialogue, right? Yeah, agreed.
As long as we keep talking, the good's going to come out. Now, you brothers, I've got a lot of experience with brothers and sisters here, and it's okay to fight like dogs, right, at home, but don't really want to do that, on stage, right? Yeah. I should have your back. You should have my back. Right, we'll work out the differences. It's what we tell. This is what I tell my staff. When inevitably, are we going to charge this much? Are we going to make this in finance? We're going to do it on the front end, or do we want to do priority maintenance or service or part? What? I just get the money, right? Grant the experience, get the money. We will figure the rest out later.
Yeah. Yep.
So as long as we got some honest, open, ongoing. I don't begrudge anybody what happened in '78, and I feel sorry for anybody that does or bears the brunt of it.
Yeah, gosh, I had no idea that it had been a grudge for that long. That has been really some of the issues between these two associations.
That's just one of them. NPDA, we're just celebrated our 5th year this month. Yeah. So we're new, but some of us have got long memories, and it's not one side, it's not one person, it's just a general feeling, and we're trying to dispel that aim little monologue I gave that you prepared slides for me on a whim at an instant notice that I totally didn't use, and probably somewhere
happy to help.
Yep, I appreciate it. They were good, I'm sure, but
never even looked at
they were. If we could just come together, no one can stop us, right? Yeah, it's like. I think I said in a speech, once we start realizing we're a family and we're all connected, and what happens to our OEMs happens to our dealers, happens to our customers. What affects our customers, it affects the dealers. Once we realize it's an act like it, the hard parts, the easy part's realizing it. The hard part's acting different, right? Yeah. And once we start acting different, then that's when we're going to unlock the power in power sports, man. And, what else did I say there? The Bruce Lee said, there's no limits, there's only plateaus, and we just get to where we are, and then we just coast. And for 40 something years, we've just been fine coasting by ourselves on our own in our own lane. And once we realize that we can get off that gravel road and hit the highway, we're going to rock and roll. And be honest with you, one of the best places to do that is at the Capitol Hill Fly-In.
Yeah. Well, so let's keep talking attendance, because I think Capitol Hill, clearly we got to attend that. We got to get more people going there. We got a year before that next one happens, right? It's going to be happening again. It happens near the end of May each year, I assume.
I believe so. I would
Okay.
love to tie that into I think June 8th is the ride somewhere cool with, your congressman person day up there.
Oh, is
So
it?
that
All
would
right.
be, that, it'd be great to tie some of those in, but we got to work on the schedules. There's 500 people plus us, right? That we're trying to meet with. And I, the great thing was I felt great asking for the things that we were able to ask for and present, because they were common sense. They weren't unreasonable. We were actually, I felt like we were very giving, and they were receptive to that. And
that's great. That's so good to hear. So the other thing I want to bring up is you've got Dealer Connect coming up in September, right? September, is it 19th to the 21st? Is that right?
Yep. 19th is the early day. That's where we'll get the bonus training, and the 20th and 21st is the main days. And Sunday, Monday, and we'll have some 20 clubs on the front end. We'll have some 20 clubs on the back end, and we're going to have some great dealer training and some issues. We're trying to get they call it NHTSA, National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. We're going to try to have some guys talk. We'd love to have the FTC come out there. We'd love to have our OEMs out there, but it's a great place to network, and you can actually, you'll get fed well. There'll be a free bar, and and that's where the magic can happen, right? That's where the magic can happen. You got your reps, your new rep, rep business card, and a new keychain and a pen, and the people, you can make some. It's called Dealer Connect for a reason, right? That name wasn't chosen lightly. That's a great place to connect. And, I know when we have our meetings, the real magic doesn't always happen in the classroom or in front of the projector screen. It happens. All right, let's walk through this. This is what we're doing. And if you're not there, you're definitely going to miss out. And you need to talk to somebody that did go. Is what you need to do. That's what I would write.
Danny and I are going to be there. I'll be speaking on the turnaround project that we did here at Moto Julia, and we're going to be showing, I talked to Bob about this recently, Bob Key, we're going to be showing how we're using AI agents to help staff inside the store, kind of like show under the curtain, here's how it works, here's how you can do it in your stores. Some of like the really transformative stuff that has dramatically changed how effective the staff can be in these operations. So it's going to be a really fun event. I'm looking forward to it. We were there before is that when we got snowed in?
That was Accelerate.
Okay, so you guys are in Columbus, Ohio this year, is that right?
Yep, it's centrally located. It may be our last year there. We may opt for warmer climates or a boat. And it's centrally located. It's right in the middle of our dealer base. So our members. So
that's great. That's really great. I mean, you've got to have some great attendance there. I'm looking forward to being a part of it. But how can people sign up for it, find out more about it? Where do they go?
I'm looking at it right now.
NPDA.org.
Cool.
/Dealer Connect.
Cool.
Yeah, .org is important. That money goes right back into the industry. Goes right back in. It's .org. This is a not-for-profit. May even be tax deductible. Consult your own attorneys. But yes, all goes back in the industry. And like, once again, for the guys out there, it's $395 a year to join NPDA, which isn't much. Yeah. And I promise you, we're paying for our own hotels and flights. That doesn't even come out of that. That's going right back in the industry for training and making the world a better place. But we got early bird special right now. Dealer Connect's $339 if you're a member. If you're a non-member, it's $498, and that includes a 1-year membership. So
awesome.
No excuses there.
That's really great.
And if you want to bring your staff, it's $199 a person extra after that. And they're going to get a lot out of it. They're going to get a lot out of it in a friendly atmosphere.
Yeah. So much training, so much to learn. I mean, everybody should bring their staffs for sure. What a great opportunity to get out and network and meet and learn. So, Jayson, this was awesome. Thanks for spending the time to walk us through that, to tell us about Washington. That's so exciting how well it went. And you said you just found out about 2 of those things already going through. Is more information still coming through? Are you still be finding out more? And
well, yeah, I'm hoping I stay in the loop. Hopefully we didn't do anything to cut ourselves off, but we should be in the loop. Happy to share with you the wins, but that we need to celebrate those wins, right?
Absolutely.
We don't ever tell people they did a good enough job or a great job or reward them, and in this, in a nonprofit environment, I'm discovering the good news is the win. right?
Yeah.
That good news is the win. So,
man, that is awesome. It's exciting to hear that that it went so well, and next year we can make it even bigger. So in the meantime, I guess we'll see you at Connect in September, if not before that.
I'm looking forward to it, and just want to say thank you to you guys, and I'm pleased to be present here with potentially the prettiest people in power sports podcasting. So.
Thank you. Was there somebody behind the camera you're talking about? I don't know what you're talking about there.
Yeah, the guy.
Jason, great seeing you, man. And hey, whenever you need me to make some slides for you, please, and then not use them, just let me know.
Right? Yeah. Hey, I appreciate you guys, and your commitment to the industry even extends to helping out the computer illiterate in their time of need. So, appreciate it.
Anytime. Great seeing you, Jason. Thank you so much.
All right, buddy.
We'll talk again soon.
Thanks.